What up though, One Pride? This is the ROTL UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick, I am the Ant-Man, the Brit with grit, and it is Friday evening, which can only mean one thing: it is time for the Friday night Q&A, where you get to come and ask your questions to me over the next few hours, be it Detroit Lions, be it college football, whatever is on your mind, then just holler at me, and as you know, I will do my best to give you an answer. Hope everyone is having a nice start to their weekend. It feels like these come around every couple of days and they're meant to be once a week. This year is going incredibly fast, but hope everyone is well. As always, I'll give you a few minutes for people to get in the building before start going through the questions, give people a chance to get in here. I've had a couple of questions asked in advance tonight, nothing major, but there are some bits of news to go through while I wait for the chat to pour in. Just need to double check the stream is going and we're all good. Yes, we are. I've had a couple of questions asked in. Nope, yep, we're good. Sorry, my bad. Right, let me just go through the housekeeping first. We'll get that out the way and then we'll get into why we are here. So, ROTL UK, if you want in with the Discord, just let us know. We'll post you across the link to that. It is a good place to keep up to date with us all throughout the week and, ask anything really you want of us in there. It's a big community, plenty of people in there to keep the chatter going while the off-season currently looms large over us. So yeah, we'll fire across the link for the Discord if you do want that. Don't forget to like and subscribe to everything: Twitch, YouTube, X, all that good stuff. All the support means the world to us. Helping spread the word about us helps us grow. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so don't forget to give them a like. We're monetized as well, we've got all that good stuff, so if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, as you know, we just love having you all in the building to chat football with us. Just to quickly go through what is coming up on the schedule as well. So in terms of the main pod, Monday just gone, we had the first half of our look at the schedule going forward. So what we do is we take the first 7 unique Detroit Lions opponents and we break them down, their draft classes, the teams, all a little about them, just to give you a little flavour of what we think about them. So next Monday, coming up, we'll be doing the second half of the season. So the next 7 unique opponents on our schedule. The week after that, we have a special guest coming on the show, Joel Walkowski, our author, who's coming on. He's written a book about the Detroit Lions, their history, and his battle with the team and how they helped with all mental health, all bits like that. It's going to be a really good show. We had a chat with him on Sunday, I think it was. We got to know him a little bit, and he's a really fun guy. So we're looking forward to having him on in just over a week. And a little birdie has also told me, although I can't announce it officially yet, that we might just have snagged an interview with the Detroit Lions all-time leading sack master. We're gonna need to confirm that one, but apparently we've had a message from him on Instagram and we're getting the show sorted out for that. So that's going to be a big former Lions player we've got coming on the show, but we'll keep that under wraps until it's more officially announced there. But yeah, just a little sneak peek of maybe what is to come. The college podcast will be back within the next few weeks as well. I know I keep saying that, but there is a lot of work that's going into these conference previews, and I've just started a new job as well, so just trying to get everything sorted and ready to go so that we do everything proper and buy the book and it's all good quality. As you know, we don't put any content out if it's bad. But yeah, the college podcast will be back very soon as well. And as always, these Q&As will continue throughout the off-season as long as you wish them to. And the demand has been there for them for. In fact, there's been more listens as we're going on. So hopefully we're making a little bit of a thing with this here. But yeah. I think that's everything in terms of the housekeeping, upcoming shows and little bits. Shout out to people coming into the chat. Terry Perry is in the chat. He goes, "Hey Anthony, how are you?" I'm not bad, thank you. I say I'm adjusting to a new job at the minute, so life is a little bit hectic. The clutch in my car gave out this week, so I need to get a new car, so that's more money. So things are a bit stressful at the minute, but we're at the weekend. I'm on a day off today, which is good. So silver linings and all, not too bad. Hope you are doing well though. He goes also, at Antony, now that Campbell is re-signed and Gibbs is next, can we afford to field the team if we sign Laporta and Branch? That is the question. Can we afford all four of them? Especially with new deals or deals like JMO's and that coming to the fore where the big money is starting to arrive for them now. And Aleem and Amon-Ra are right in the midst of their contracts. It is the question. We will have a chat about that in a short while, but that's probably a good point to start with. The big news that we have had this week is our star middle linebacker Jack Campbell has got his contract extension, the first of the big four from the 2023 class, and possibly the one we all thought was going to get done first in terms of his value to the team and what he brings to it. He's the now captain, the future captain, whatever you want. He's the leader of this defense. It's his moving forward. Bob Olan did ask in the post I put up about questions for the show about Jack Campbell's contract details. The specifics are not out yet as to how they're structuring it by year. It's just the overall thing. So 4 years, $81 million. That equates to about $20.25 million per season, making him the second highest paid middle linebacker in the NFL after Fred Warner. $51 million of that is guaranteed. Now, that contract will come into effect in 12 months because there's no fifth-year option there. So this time next year, he'll be on this new deal. And how Brad likes to work it, usually that first year is dirt cheap, and then it escalates quite severely, and then you'll have void years put on the end of it. Now, I think this is going to be the interesting one here. With all four of them, I think the use of void years is going to be telling as to maybe how many of the four we're going to sign. If you have 2 or 3 void years tacked on to the end of this Campbell deal, then the cap hits are not going to be astronomical, depending on how much they chuck into those void years. But you could put a situation in where he's not up against much of the cap. It's just obviously when that contract's done and you've got a lot of void money on the bill, if you want to re-sign him, he's then going to become very expensive for his second contract. But if you are thinking of handing out 4 major deals right now, then void years is the way to go with it. And Brad has shown a penchant to do so. I mean, if it were me, at least at one of these, I'd front load them and work it the other way round, but we'll have to see. But I would figure it's going to be really cheap next year, and there's going to be at least 2 void years added onto it just to bring down the cap hits overall. But we'll update you. Hopefully by Monday's show, the actual details of the deal will be out and how it's structured over the years, and we can go into it in a little bit more detail there. But yeah, as it pertains to the rest of them, I think you can be almost guaranteed that Gibbs is going to get a deal probably before training camp is done. The other two, I don't know. I'm not comfy on giving either of them their deals until they're back from injury and they're playing well. I mean, the contract I saw reported by SpotTrack today, I mean, fair enough, it's just a guess. It's nothing, it's not a be-all and end-all thing, but they reckon that Laporta's going to garner a contract that's pretty much the same as as Campbell's, my pardon. I think it was about $20 million a year they were predicting, with about $50 million in guarantees, which is a lot of money for a tight end. It would make him the second highest paid tight end in the league, and then that would be first when Kittle's deal expires next year. And over a 4-year period as well, that's a ton of change to throw at him. Given he's had his back injury, I'm not 100% sure I want to do that yet. Branch is going to command a lot of money as well, and again, Achilles injuries with DBs, you want to make sure that they're fit and healthy and they can play again first, because if his performance has been affected by the injury and he's not the same Brian Branch as before, then the price goes down and you've got to be careful. Yes, you do run the risk of him coming back good and you've got to pay him a little more, but I would rather do that than overspend now and the injuries come back to bite us. But you've got to figure Gibbs is next. And as I say, how those deals pan out in terms of how they're spread will tell you a lot about the other two deals and whether they're going to get done or not. But you would think they're going to try and make a world where all four of them do get paid. The only trouble is once these four are paid, you can't afford to pay anyone else at all, period. Just not going to happen. So you're going to have a 2 or 3 year period where you can't hand out deals to anybody, because you are going to be squeezed against the cap severely going forward. Like Amon-Ra, he's not going anywhere. He's going to get a new deal. Penne's going to get a new deal. Goff probably might get a new deal. Who knows? We've got no one who's going to be on an expiring big contract who's going to bring cap relief on the books. So you've got to play it very carefully with how you do it. But yeah, Captain Jack is signed up. That is the one we all wanted. And to be honest, I think it's great value for money, what they've got for him. 20 and a half. I mean, when the cap goes up and some of the other linebackers get their deals as well, that deal's probably going to look pretty healthy when it's all said and done. So, yeah, I like it. And he should, providing he's healthy, be completely worthy of that contract. Mile Marker is in the building. Hope you are doing well, Mile Marker. Bob O'Lan is in there as well. Hope you're doing good. Gorandizer is in the building. He goes... Hilly-ho and Hilly-ho, the who is up next to get a new contract extension is what I asked last week in regards to Gibbs since the Finns extended A-Chain. Well, my apologies if I missed that. I think that's where we're at now. It's Gibbs next, and then I would do it Branch Laporta, but from what you're hearing, the Lions, it's probably going to be the other way around. It's going to be Laporta and then Branch, but I'm a little uncertain on the other two until their injuries are done. DC Smithers is in the chat. He goes, "Hey Ant, did you just start? Didn't get advance notice to set a notification. Hope you're having a good start to a long weekend." Yeah, I did just start. My apologies. I didn't set the stream up till about half an hour ago. I've been out all evening. I play football on Friday nights, and then I've stopped by my dad's, and I forgot to... I usually set the stream up before I go out for Friday night, and I forgot to this week, so I've done it at the last minute. So no, you didn't miss it. That was me being unorganised. So apologies about that. But I'm still glad that you can join us. Part 2 of that question last week, who should get paid new contract before the season starts? You said Campbell, that is done. Gibbs should get his contract done before the season starts. The other two, no. They can wait until their injuries are proven. I've been very clear on that. Campbell and Gibbs get theirs now. Branch and Laporta get theirs later, during the season, possibly towards the deadline, etc. Because if you can't work out a deal pre-deadline, then you trade them. Obviously, you hope that doesn't happen, but that's just the way it's got to be for now. As for everyone else, I don't think there's anyone else on the roster who's due up a deal or anything right now. So, if Malcolm has a good start to the year, I would put Malcolm's name in there and get him signed up before he hits free agency again next year. But Malcolm's really the only one I can think of at this point who might be in that conversation before the others. Plus, he's not going to cost us the world either. Where does this put Campbell when compared to other ILBs around the league? Second after Warner. So he's high up there now, but I think he's worth it for us, what he means to the defense. So yeah, he's absolutely worth it for sure. They can get out of Kirby's contract in 2027 as well as DJ Reed's. I think what I read is it's at the end of 2027, so that's another 2 years we've got to run with it before it becomes palatable. But obviously, if his injury's serious and it's going to keep him out this year, you consider doing it this year and just eating the dead cat. But yeah, Kirby's in 2 years' time, but we'd have to see. DJ Reed, again, you're probably not going to be able to afford him. You're right with that one, but I don't know how Reed's contract works out. You could probably do some work with that. Let me just have a little look how they structured it. So you can get out next year of DJ Reed's at the end of next season, but that's 9.1 million in dead money, and plus he's got voyage years. Now, my understanding, I believe, with his voyage years, they roll up. So you can use voyage years, but you can only use voyage years in the years that they are assigned if you see out the contract with the player in question. So if you sign a player up to 3 years and then put 2 voyage years on the end of it, he's got to play those 3 years, and then you can use the 2 voyage years as you would if you get out of that contract early, then all that void money rolls up and you take the cap hit instantly. So DJ Reed's got void years on his deal, which is why it's nearly 10 million to cut him. So it is a little bit expensive. It's not the worst in the world, but ideally, yeah, you don't want to be doing that. But we'll see. It's palatable if you're not cutting too many other people. Kirby's works out at let me get it here. So yeah, this year, yeah, you can't get out of it until 2028. That season, technically, it's 30 million dead this year, 23 next year. That's not going to happen. It's just under 10 million the year after. Again, you've got the void years in there, but the lucky thing is his void years are option bonuses. So unless we pay the option bonuses, then we don't have to pay those. So it goes down. But yeah, it's nothing we can move off in the next 2 years, let's say. So we're going to be squeezed for then, and even then, it's minimal savings we're making with them. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of cap dalliances done with this. And I didn't get a notification either. I had to keep refreshing to see if you posted the notification. Yeah, no, that's me. It's on me. Don't blame YouTube. It's just me. Yeah. I was unorganised today. I apologise. So, yeah. But I'm here. You know I'll be here. I usually come on at the same time, about 7:30. So, you know, if I put up a post on Twitter saying I'm coming on, I'll put one on YouTube as well. If those posts go up, I will be there. I will not abandon y'all. Lions had back-to-back good runs with tight ends if they let Laporta walk. Yeah, and again, you can always get another one. But the trouble is our tight end room after Laporta now is barren. It's terrible, so you can't really afford to let him go. You probably got to tag him. I would assume if one of them doesn't get paid, you'll tag him. The tight end tag is probably pretty cheap in comparison. DB's probably not so much for Branch, but you could probably tag Laporta at the worst, so we're not in danger of losing any of them. At least not for free anyhow, so we should be all good there. If KJ returns to form, we can keep him, but if we don't, we just cut. Yeah, you give him. You've got to kind of ride the next 2 years regardless, unless he's really bad this year, and you just swallow the dead cap hit this season and be done with it quicker. But we can't really afford to because we ain't got much cap, so you've got to do cap gymnastics. So you've got to assume he's going to be here the next 2 years as a minimum. Hopefully he plays really well, and we can just kind of leave the contract as it is, and it's providing value for money. That's the ideal world we live in there. Kirby and Reed have option bonuses due early on 2027. Yeah, they do, so you've got to make the decision before then over whether you're going to cut them or not. Because obviously bonuses don't count against the cap until they're enforced. So if one or both has a bad year, then you've got to make the decision pre the start of next league year. So you've got to do it pretty soon. But I can't envisage a world where either of them are done, unless, as I say, one of them doesn't play from injury or Reed plays really bad. So yeah, cap is going to be tight regardless. I would let both Branch and Laporta walk unless KJ doesn't return to form, says Terry. Yeah, it is that age-old argument, and we've had this for a while. It's about how many guys can you pay, because the more we pay, the more we're going to be squeezed in free agency. Every year we're having to scrape free agency bargain bin and get injury crocs and value for money, guys who are out of form, guys who haven't done enough to get big deals. And it's not sustainable going forward to have to get so many of those guys and to try and hit on them, as well as having your core paid as well. So it's the age-old question. I think you've got to start doing a little bit of what Philly do, which is playing the comp pick game, letting some of your better guys walk and reinvest in the comp picks, in more draft picks, and replenishing your stock that way, because we just don't simply have enough draft picks, really, to keep on replenishing the talent and keep the cap low. So I think eventually you've got to start looking at letting some of these guys walk and trust your scouting department that they will come up with good replacements. We're in this to win a Super Bowl. You don't get no prizes for most big contracts handed out to players. If in 10 years' time we've not won a Super Bowl, no one's going to care that we offered massive contracts to 10 or 11 players, because at the end of the day we did nothing with it. It means nothing. So, you've got to have some end product at the end of this, otherwise ultimately this is all futile. So that's why, you want Branch and Laporta to prove they're fit and healthy first before you dole out big deals to them. And if you're unsure, just play the comp pick game. Let them go, let someone else pay them and see what happens. And, we haven't let anyone go so far who has succeeded elsewhere. So, it's not like we've been letting people go and they've been stars elsewhere and we've made mistakes with it. Eventually, you've got to start getting some picks back in the bank. You can't just pay everyone a ton of money. So, I'm not saying trade them both, but I think you have to be open to the possibility of at least trading one of them and reinvesting. Because you could get good value for both of them, to be fair. But, we'll have to wait and see with it. So, yeah. Grandizer goes, Ant, semi-funny. Finn's signed A-Chain, so let's see what Gibbs gets. Lyons signed Campbell, let's see what Brooks gets from the Finns. Yeah, A-Chain's deal's a big one. You figure Gibbs is probably going to get a little bit more than him. So, Gibbs is going to be up near 20 million a year. I don't want him to be, again. The two running backs on 20 million a year deals are on 2-year deals. They're on short deals. You can kind of eat it there. If you're giving him a 4-year contract, I don't want to be paying 20 million a year to a running back for 4 years. The risk is just too big. You've got to try and bring the price down a little bit. So hopefully they can sort something that's a bit longer term. Maybe a little less per year AAV than A-Chain, but more guaranteed over more years to give him security and do it that way. If you could get him for 16 or 17, that would be fantastic, but we'll have to see. Like I said, I don't want to be going up towards 25 a year for him, like some people suggest. That's a lot of money, even for someone as special as he is. So I would hope that, he'll be in A-Chain's ballpark rather than blowing it out the water. But I don't think anyone's going to pass Campbell for a while. Not off the top of my head, anyhow. Warner's contract will come down soon, so Campbell will probably be the highest paid eventually, but I don't think there's anyone coming up who would get that sort of deal there. So, but we will see with it. For the Finns, the three that were due up for a contract, A-Chain, Brooks and Brewer, yep, indeed. Obi Topin goes, did you see who died? That's a lot of people potentially, but I assume you're talking about the NASCAR driver. Was it Kyle Busch? Kyle Busch did, he was doing some training and then, just keeled over, something wrong with him. It's kind of like 41 years old. That's crazy. That's only 5 years older than what I am. And it's professional athlete and all, won a lot. But yeah, that was shocking. I know quite a lot of guys in our Discord watch NASCAR religiously, and they were all completely shocked about what happened there. So obviously, not good at all. Obviously thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. Yeah, it's just 41 is way too young indeed. So I assume that is who you're talking about. That is the big sports news this week in terms of who has passed on, which is a shame. Grandizer goes, we can't handle more people down. We just have backed. Yes, we did. We've had too much this year. We need life. We need youngsters. We need kids. We need to redress the balance again. It has not been a good year at all. So hopefully, gets a little bit better. DC Smithers goes, Jameer and Bijan are in a staring contest to be the biggest paid. Yeah, Bijan will be. If you were to say Jameer Gibbs is a better dual threat running back, Bijan might be the better natural running back. As in, if you put both of them behind a terrible offensive line and ask them to do a lot of it by themselves, I would think that Bijan might. I'm not saying Gibbs ain't talented in that, but you just feel like Bijan would, do out a little more than Gibbs would. So, as a natural runner, Bijan's probably a little bit better, but Gibbs is by far a much better receiver and a dual threat, which is where the money is and the value is and the every down situation is. So, yeah, they are very close, but Jameer Gibbs is a better player overall and deserving of more money. I know who I'd pay more money to. Obviously, I'd love both of them on rookie contracts. That'd be fantastic, but we don't live in that world. So, but yeah, they're both going to get a lot of money, and it might be a case of who blinks first. If Bijan gets his deal first, it might up the price for us. If Gibbs gets his deal first, it might up the price for the Falcons. But you've got to figure the players' agents all know one another. They're probably having a hand in this as well. So yeah, they're both going to get paid big time. They're both fantastic talents. And yeah, they're both rightfully going to get their money. 3 years, 60 million for Gibbs. I could maybe stomach that. I just wouldn't want a lot of it to be guaranteed. More bonus type situations. Maybe some big option bonuses in there just to make sure that, injuries don't play a part. Because in every running back's career, at some point they have an injury. Very few running backs are universally healthy. And Gibbs is going to have a point where he's not playing. So I don't want it to be too much money, depending on what it is. So, but 3 years, 60 might be palatable if the guaranteed is like 30 or 35 or something like that. Then you could hack it. And you've got an out in the last year because there's a lot of bonuses and stuff. Which then you can, parlay into a new contract and bring the cap hit down again. That's kind of the way you've got to do it with Gibbs. Backload it and then keep giving him new deals. Remind me, was Hockenson traded or the Lions let him walk? Hockenson was traded. We traded him away. It was in his last year. Oh, I think it was his last year. But yeah, we traded him just before. It was just before the deadline of the first season. I think 22. Oh no, second season. Sorry. But it was his last year. We got a second round pick for him in 2023, and we got a third round pick in 2024, and then we gave them like a fourth or something like that. So we got a good deal out of him, a second and third altogether. Trade deals. But yeah, I don't know how it ended. I think, hang on, I've got it here. So yeah, we got a second and a third for him, a second in 2023 and a third in 2024, and we gave up 2 fourths and Hockenson. So we essentially went up in 2 consecutive drafts, from 119 to 55 and from 129 to 73. So you've got that there, and then with it, it wasn't a very successful trade for us. So we got Hendon Hooker. We used one of the picks to trade up for Broderick Martin. Or we used 2 of the picks actually, and then we traded a pick away for DeAndre Swift. And then we ended up using one of the picks to get Terry and Arnold. So we don't know how that's worked out yet. But yeah, Hendon Hooker, Terry and Arnold, and part of Broderick Martin was what we got out of the Hockenson trade. So if Terrian hits, great. If not, then it ended up being a pretty bad trade for us all told. We just didn't do anything with the capital we got with him. But yeah, he was traded. He wanted to go somewhere and win, and he's won less playoff games than the Lions have since he left. So that's his karma for doing that. Hawk was traded to the Vikings. Sorry, I'm a little behind in the chat, so if you've already answered, my apologies, but I go through the chat bit by bit, and I sometimes fall behind. And are all the Lions draft picks and UDFAs all signed? Anyone holding out or have not gotten to? Nope, everybody's signed. Everybody has signed. They all signed on the same day, pretty much. It was all a smooth process. I believe all the UDFAs have signed as well. There are no holdouts, and I believe they've all been spotted around the facility as well, because I know some people said that I think it was Derek Moore hadn't been seen, but he has been now, so no, we're all good. Draft picks are all signed, ready to go. No outstanding things. There usually is. We've not had any problems with draft picks under this regime and signing their contracts. None at all. I think it was just the year when all the second round picks wanted to start getting paid fully guaranteed deals. All the second round picks held out, including ours, which was, I want to say it was Rakestraw's year. It was either Rakestraw's year or it was I think it was Rakestraw. It was that year. But everyone held out for fully guaranteed money. But yeah, outside of that, no issues at all. We got them all this year. The guy who created OnlyFans passed away a couple of months ago. Well, he'll have left a lot of money behind, indeed. I haven't got an OnlyFans Grandizer, and nor would you want to see that. That would be terrible. How liquid is Sheila? Does she have the cash for more guarantees? I believe so. She just took a stake in, what was it, the Kolkata Knight Riders? One of the IPL teams. No, it wasn't. It was a different one, but I think they've been pretty good with their guarantees. I think they've got liquid assets to do more guarantees if they wish. But generally, the cash issue is when you restructure deals. Because when you restructure deals, you have to give players the cash up front, and we have kind of refrained from doing restructures, so we've not needed much liquid cash to give to players. We only did Goff this year, and that was it. So you've got to have the liquid money on hand if you do restructures. I think with guarantees and bonuses and stuff, you can spread them out over time, so it's not as bad. Like, you don't need the money right now. It's just with restructures that really becomes an issue. But yeah, the Lions haven't done it, which might say something. They might not have the liquid resources to do lots of restructures, or they may not want to, one or the other. But I think she'd be fine. If we needed the money, she would give it to them. How do you think the Lions will fill the 5 remaining roster spots? I mean, I can say what I would do, but what they would do, I don't know. For me, we've still got work to do at running back and tight end. Your running back 3 right now is Varkey, and that I'm not very comfortable with that. And you've only got Sailors, Jabari Small, and Kai Robichaux behind that. So ideally, it would be good if they were still perusing the running back market for another guy, just to give us a little bit more depth. And at tight end, yeah, we got nothing after Sam Laporta at the minute. Maybe Conklin as a receiving threat, but I still think there is a lot of work to be done there. So I would like to see some more coming in the way of tight end reinforcements. Outside of that, I mean, you're probably looking defensively. Maybe still looking at the veteran safety market, depending on how you feel about the guys you've got in there at the minute, and depending on how hurt Kirby and Brian are. So you'd still be looking for some depth at safety, and maybe taking a look at defensive tackle, dependent on what happens with Jay Tafeli and guys like that. Maybe edge still. You're still probably looking for another veteran edge rusher, because I don't think Peyton Turner and guys like that are it. So those are the positions I'd still be looking at. Certainly running back and tight end would be right up there, and then maybe safety and D tackle, depending on injuries. And like, obviously if Levi's healthy, DT does become less of an issue. And with the 2 starting safeties, depending on where they're going to be fit for, that is, that could be an issue for us as well. So those are the 4 positions I would still go at for the 5 remaining roster spots. But, it depends. Whoever gets cut, obviously when roster cut downs and everything happen, you may find some value in there at a position we're not thinking about right now. So I'd expect them to be flexible, but those are the 4 spots I would look for in terms of what to do with those last spots. Terry goes, Antony, would you do 40 million fully guaranteed for 2 years for Gibbs plus a 5-year option? 40 million in guarantees over 2 years? That's a lot of guaranteed money over 2 years, unless you mean over 4 with a 5th-year option. But I wouldn't be guaranteeing 40 million over 2 years. That's a lot of guaranteed money. Like, I would do 60 million over 3 years, and I would guarantee about 35, something like that. I think that would be ideal, and then leave the rest for bonuses and roster bonuses and bits like that. I think that's what I'd be comfortable with, but over 3 years. No, I wouldn't give him a lot of guaranteed money over 2 years. That still doesn't really solve your problem. And then if he carries on playing well and you've got to give him a new contract this time next year, then, you kind of, the price is just going to keep going up. So you run that risk. You want it to be a little longer, and a little less, so you don't have to revisit the issue. Because again, with the cap and everything going up every year and the new TV deals coming, you've got to be careful. Because players will be holding out for 2029, I think it is when the new TV deals come in. Because apparently the cap is going to skyrocket. So we need to be careful. But yeah, I'd do about 30-35 million over 3 years, guaranteed, for about 60 overall. I think that would be good for them. Not that you pay attention to QB rankings, but what do you make of Ben Solak ranking Goff at 14 and Nate Tice at 13? I mean, anyone who's ranking Goff middle of the pile is just wrong. Goff's problem is that he's not a sexy pick. He's not a dual threat rusher, anything like that. It's unless you've got that dual threat ability about you and the out of structure playmaking like Mahomes and that does, you're just not looked at as a top tier guy. But if you're looking for consistency and the numbers that he's putting up, I mean, very few people are throwing more than he is. The last 3 years alone, you've gone over, I mean, alright, let's say the last 4 years, you've gone over 4,400 passing yards 4 years in a row, which is crazy for one. You have got about 140 touchdown passes in that time as well, verging on 19,000 yards. I mean, he's been throwing at a crazy rate. The efficiency's up in the high 60s. You're nearly 4,500 yard passer every year, and that's on a team that loves to run the football. Like, we love to run the football. We've had 1,000 yard rusher every year that Goff's been here, whether it be Monty or Gibbs or both, really. Like, we've rushed the ball a lot. We get a lot of offensive yardage, so for him to still get over 4,000 yards a year is crazy. It's about consistency in this league. Consistency is as big a superpower as anything else. You can see other good quarterbacks, but they're hurt. They're not always able to give their all. You think like Burrow, someone like that, always banged up, hurt. Goff isn't. Goff is the figure of sustainability. And plus he showed last year he doesn't need an elite offensive line to work. Last year's offensive line was terrible. It was 30th in pass rush win rate. And he still knocks out 4,500 yards and 34 touchdowns in the regular season. He's not even stat padding with playoff games. Like, some teams would kill to have a 4,500 yard passer on their team. His touchdown to interception ratio is it's 4.5 to 1. So the turnover rate is incredibly low. He's not 14 at all. I think they're just, again, if you're not a big out of structure playmaker or a dual threat, then some people are just blinded by it. If you need a quarterback who's going to get the job done and is clutch, let's not forget all the fourth quarter comebacks Jared Goff has led over the years. One of the best 2-minute offenses in football for the last 2 or 3 years before last year. He's just really disrespected. He's a top 10 guy for sure. Anyone putting him outside the top 10 is lying for clicks. It is what it is, but are we surprised at this point? Goff never gets the love that he deserves. So yeah, on a bad year, it's better than some other guys' good years. That's all I can really say with that one. But yeah, I'll always defend Goff when it comes to quarterback rankings. Always. Goff is a top QB, but he doesn't play to the drama. No, he's also, he's very humble. No ego about him, no me first, not like Aaron Rodgers and someone like that. He has swagger to him, but kind of in the locker room. Yeah, he's just not sexy. That's the term, not sexy. Hence why, like, Mike Evans is not regarded in top receiver rankings ever, because he's not sexy. He is just consistently great at what he does without being, like, the number 1 receiver in the NFL for a year. But he's always, like, number 2 or 3. But it's unsexy, because he's never been number 1. So people just blatantly disrespect him and say that he's not as good as others, whereas he is. It's kind of Goff as the equivalent of that, really. please click share then copy. I appreciate you, mile marker, for that. Yep, please do share and copy and share it out and about. Have more people come in and chat on these Friday evenings. It's always good to have you all in here chatting with me and amongst yourselves as well. It makes it a lot more fun process. Rank the left guard candidates. Ooh, this will be fun. So, left guard candidates as of now for next year, because obviously training camp is coming up. So, you know, guys we've got here, we've got Mahogany, Fraser, Barch, Scruggs you'd probably put in this conversation as well. Let's say them 4 at this point in time. In order, Christian Mahogany is without doubt my favourite. Injuries have kind of just banjaxed his career up to now, but I think when he's fit and healthy, he's by far the best candidate we've got at left guard, and the guy that I would still be putting in there at this point. After that, I'd just about say Ben Barch. Ben Barch has got plenty of NFL experience. Obviously, I've not seen him play in a Lions uniform before, but I think if you want a stabilising veteran presence at the position who's going to be solid, then I think Barch will be that guy. Then I'd probably have Fraser. I'm not as high as him as everyone else is. Like, people make him out to be this super guy who's going to be like an all-pro centre, an all-pro guard, and an all-pro tackle rolled into one. But there was a reason he was picked so late, and there was a reason he struggled to hold down the job against an injured and out-of-form Christian Mahogany last year. Like, people blowing way too much smoke up him right now, just probably trying to look out that he comes good. But for me, he's third, and then I'd probably put Scruggs fourth. So Mahogany, Barch, Fraser, Scruggs in that order for left guard. I don't think there's anyone else I'd really put in that conversation for now. So yeah, the best thing for the Lions is that it's Mahogany, because he's the guy who's been there, done that, started games, and knows it the best of everybody. So yeah, I just hope he stays healthy this year and gets some consistent playing time, because I think he will show just how good he is. So yeah, we're all good. My marker goes, not sexy in the way that he's from San Francisco Bay Area, not LA indeed. Any hope for Colby Sorsdal or Mason Miller? Unlikely. I think now that Larry Boreham's here and Manu's on the roster, Sorsdal won't make the roster as a tackle, because we'll not take 5, we'll take 4. Sorsdal's only hope is that he somehow manages to convince them that he's right guard too, which, I mean, could be a valid battle. Depends on what happens at left guard as well, but you know, Colby has played a little bit at right guard for the Lions in the league. If he could show some potential there to be the depth guy, then maybe he'll make the roster. But I think his chances at tackle are slim, unless they take 5 guys with them. But I would not expect him to do that. Damn it, sorry, I've gone blue screen, there we go. I don't know why it does that. It's when I click on a certain thing. So yeah, I think Sorsdal might be cooked, as they say. I think Miller's probably even more so cooked. Again, Miller's going to be in the tackle rotation. He probably ends up on the practice squad, I would say, for Mason Miller. Which is probably the best place for him, just to be able to, you know, if injuries occur, then he's the kind of guy you want in there to bring in as depth. But yeah, I think I would give these chances. I'd say Miller's is probably about 10%. Not very big at all. It just depends on if there's any injuries during camp. Sorsdal's, if it's at guard, I'd say maybe 25%. Potentially. Again, they might decide to take Fraser as like the swing guard to play left guard and right guard and keep Barch as well, in which case Sorsdal's cooked. But yeah, I think Colby's chances are a little bit better. I mean, if like Colby Sorsdal's the last offensive lineman on your depth chart, that's not the worst place to be in. That's pretty decent floor, because I still think there's a good player in there somewhere. So, hopefully he does, but we'll see with that. But yeah, I think the prospects for both are slightly slim, unfortunately. But who knows? We may be surprised. Hopefully, Larry Borum will develop some under our O-line coach. Potentially. Who knows? He's got plenty of NFL starting experience, so he's not lacking the experience. I think he's just lacking some technique overall. So maybe Hank will be good for him. You know, he did get better at the Dolphins, so we can hit and hope. Yes, blue screen of death. It has gone now. So yeah, there we are. And what is the biggest knock on Goff since he has been with the Lions? Not mobile enough. Does not put the team on his back when it's crunch time. Needs more places to do well. Better play calling. The knock on him. I need to think about what my knock on him and what I am most annoyed with him about is that he has the ability to be a much better rusher than he realises. There are a lot of times when running lanes open up for Jared Goff and he doesn't take them. And I don't think he believes in himself to be able to run. Like, it's always on stream. When he runs, everyone's like, oh my god, he's running. You know, Jared wheels Goff. They always kind of make jokes about how he runs when he tries. But there's been several occasions I can think of, not specifically, but off the top of my mind, where I've been like, run! Like, you'll be, especially in the red zone, like, you'll be in the red zone, you'll be looking, the coverage is really good, he's desperately trying to find a throw, and like everyone's got their back turned to him, and there's an opportunity for him to get in the end zone, and he'll just throw it away. And sometimes I just think he needs to trust himself more as a runner, because if he does, what happens then, if he starts running a bit more, defenders aren't going to turn their back to him as much, and coverage isn't going to be as good, and he's going to be able to exploit it. If these guys have to take a look back, then guys like Amon-Ra and J-Mo and Laporta and that are going to get more open in the end zone for him, and downfield and whatnot. So that's been my problem with Goff. In the early 2 years it was fumbles. That's gone away now. But yeah, he needs to trust himself more as a runner. Because he can run when he wants to. And just even that little bit of a rushing threat just opens up so much for you as a passer. As again, it just means that defense is having to take a little split second longer to think about what they're going to do. Because if they're gonna give up first downs because they're trying in coverage and they're not really respecting you as a runner, then that's going to hurt them. They're going to have to respect you eventually. So That's my biggest knock on him, is that he doesn't trust himself enough to run the football when he can do it. Because again, it's just leading to situations where we're getting incomplete passes when we could be getting first downs. And it does wind me up some. Outside of that, I don't really have a big knock on him. I think he's great. I love him. So, you know, hopefully Wheels is a little bit more wheelie this year. Hopefully Brunel can sort of coax it out of him a bit more. I know he doesn't like to take big hits and whatnot, but some of these are... He could get 5-6 yards and then slide and still not get hit. Some of them are pretty egregious, so hopefully Goff will change that this year. But yeah, that is the biggest knock I've got on him, Grandnights. Outside of that, can't really think of anything I'd pin on him. Stephen Baffy's in the chat. Hope you are doing well. He goes, join in late. Go Lions. Love the Campbell extension. It was a fair deal. Still a discount to the market on Spot Rack of $21.5 million, and it's a lot cheaper than letting him hit free agency. Yeah, I think the deal is good value. I agree with you. So yeah, I'm all for that. It's a good value deal overall. For your team captain, for your defensive captain as well, like, you're not paying for the position, you're paying for the leadership as well, and that is in itself invaluable. So you're paying for a lot more. You're paying for your... this is your centerfold. You know, he's your Gillian Anderson from 1980. He's like, he's the one you're looking for. Like, he's the one you want to get in your life. So, you know, or whichever centerfold from whichever era you grew up in. I was a bit too late for that. We'd gone away from magazines by the time I grew up. But you get the picture. Captain Jack is more than just a linebacker. He is everything to this defense. So yeah, value-wise, he is absolutely tremendous. I do like the deal. I thought it would be more than that. DC Smithers goes, rank the camp receivers: Meeks, Cunningham, Kennedy, Wilson, etc. Oh yeah, we did get ourselves a new camp receiver this week. So who can we put in there? So Cedric Wilson, I mean, could we put Greg Dortch in there? Maybe. Jackson Meeks, Tom Kennedy, Dominic Lovett, Malik Cunningham. Ooh, this is tough. So I'm just going to assume right now Tesla, Williams, St. Brown and Kendrick Law are your top 4. When I say top 4, some of the other guys would kick back at me and say Greg Dortch is number 4. I don't know. I don't know if Dortch should be guaranteed a place on here, because if Kendrick Law can return, that's kind of rule. I mean, Dortch can do the whole, Swiss Army knife type thing, but I would rather do it with Kendrick Law instead. But Petson knows him from Arizona, so okay. Let's say Dortch is 4 and Law is 5. You've got one spot open. So Cedric Wilson, Jackson Meeks, Tom Kennedy, Dominic Lovett, Malik Cunningham. I think in order. I think if you're getting a 6, I mean, it's tough. I've always kind of been down on Tom Kennedy because I believe he has a ceiling there. I mean, personally for me, I would put Jackson Meeks at the top. I just think Jackson Meeks would offer us something a little bit more fun and has a little bit more of a ceiling. And when you're playing him at wide receiver 6, you don't really need anything from him right away. He's got the ability to come in and develop a little bit more freely. I know Cedric Wilson's been around in the league and that, but I kind of, with my wide receiver 6, I'm looking at potential, not league experience. So I'd probably put Jackson Meeks first. I'd put Tom Kennedy a very close second. Then I'd probably put Cedric Wilson in there. Then probably Dominic Lovett. And then I think I'd have Malik Cunningham at the bottom. So that would be my order. Assuming Tesla, Williams, St. Brown, Dortch and Laurie are top 5. We go Jackson Meeks, Tom Kennedy, Cedric Wilson, Dominic Lovett, Malik Cunningham. That's my rankings for them. I would love to see Jackson Meeks make the team this year, but it depends if we take 6 receivers or not. I think with the lack of depth at tight end, and there not been so many receiving tight ends on there, we might take 6, but I could be proven wrong. We would have to get another running back. I wish we would have got another running back in the UDFAs. I do as well. I would like to have seen one of the better running backs come in just for a bit more depth, so I'm with you there. So that's why I hope they're not done. Obviously, Pacheco's good at 2, but I still think we need a 3. I'm not sold on Varkey being the 3. He's just not had a lot of carries, and, the project players have not worked so far, unfortunately. So, hopefully he does, but I'm not counting on it. I would prefer someone who's a little bit more battle-tested in there for the 3, and someone who's going to be a good pass protector as well. Varkey won't be a good pass protector, so we'll see. But I wish we'd gone in on the running back market for UDFAs, because it was good this year. There was some very good value to be had. Goff also has 2 games a year where he presses badly. Potentially, where he passes badly. Do you mean? I know he's prone to the odd bad game. I'm trying to. You've got me now. I know there was the Houston game 2 years ago, was it, when he threw his 4 interceptions? And I think last year was there one he had 3 in. Trying to. I can't remember off the top of my head. I would have to. Hang on, I'm going to have to cheat here. I will go to PFF, just so I can do it for my own thinking, but I know what you mean. There are some games with Goff where the passing goes a little bit higgledy-piggledy. It was the Minnesota game at the end of the year. He threw a couple of picks in that. Outside of that, he was pretty decent. But I know what you mean, but I think there are some games where he kind of has to press. The Philly game was bad. He threw 37% completions there, which for his career of been near 70 was really good. But that Philly game was really tough. That was just a offensive slogfest for both teams. It wasn't easy going, but I think I know what you mean. That there is the occasional game where Goff will press too much, but he is asked to do a lot sometimes as well. The running game wasn't as effective last year, so we kind of had to put it on him a little bit more. He's shown he can do it, but yeah, he just sort of have that one game a year where you're like, okay, that's what Rams fans were talking about. But for the most part, he's pretty good. So the fact that we've sort of been nitpicky about him, I kind of it's not the worst place to be in the world. So yeah. But he's got there. Raw Biz is in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Goes, good evening, Antony. I want to apologise for coming at you, sir. I was responding to your comments on Manu at left tackle when you were on a few weeks ago. As a Canadian, I took it personally. No worries about it, Raw Biz. I remember that, and I think I phrased it badly. I didn't mean to call Manu a stupid Canadian. I meant to say that it was a stupid move for a guy from the CFL at that point. I didn't mean Manu personally as a person. I meant stupid developmental move. That is including Varkey, Martin, all that are ilk. We've made some stupid moves for developmental players. I think I just added the adjective Canadian because I was talking about Manu, but I apologise as well because it probably came off wrong, so do not worry about it. I have a thick skin on here. I've had a lot worse than this. I just appreciate you coming on and chatting with us because despite that all, you've still been around, so it's good to have you in the building. So I apologise as well if I worded it wrongly. I just got really mad about the developmental picks that have not worked out for us, so it was to do with that. So I hope you're good, we're good, you're more than welcome here. Terry goes, the 80s and 90s had lots of centrefolds. They did indeed. Robis goes, Law has to earn his spot on the field. Dortch is proven. Yes, you're right, he is. Dortch has proven there. I just think with Law, I like the possibilities we've got with him. And you're right, he has to earn his spot. This is just kind of me projecting, but I think he will do very well. Especially if they really use his full skill set. Like I say, Kendrick Law can do what Varkey would do. He can take, a small amount of carries a year. You use him as a receiver. And also, I think Law's got more potential behind the line of scrimmage than Dortch does. Like, Dortch is like a gadget guy, but you've got to scheme him open. Law, I think, can do it without being schemed open. Like, he's really good after contact. Obviously, he's younger as well, which helps for us. But they've got their own unique little personalities. But you're right. Dortch's experience will be big for him. I think they probably both make it in the end. Like, having Dortch and Law gives you some pretty nice options there. And, if you have Dortch for a year while Law learns his role and then Law's the guy next year and you let Dortch go, then maybe that's the way. This is the way, as the Mandalorian would say. But yeah, I think having both of them on would be quite fun. But yeah, you're right. Law has to earn it. All the rookies have to earn it. 100%. Agreed. Same with Gil Howard. I think Gil Howard will make it, but he's a 6th round pick and he's going to have to earn his keep. Stephen goes, I think the trend is for rotational 12th man depth guys to fill your 11th man on the field with a lot of sub packages, the way you can spread the cost or utilise younger developing players that are. That's true. No, don't be sorry for the wall of text. Absolutely. Put all your comments and stuff in here. Yeah. But yeah, the rotational 12th man, obviously, yeah, you do want them to be as gadget-like as possible to fill as many holes as possible, so that's where that does fit in for them. Robiz goes, Law could play running back. He can. He did. Alabama used him. Kentucky used him. It was in small sample sizes, but, I mean, no less than what kind of Varkey did in college. I think he got 15 or 16 carries overall, went at about 8 yards per carry, so both teams used him in sub-packages as a running back. And again, if you've got the threat of him being a running back and you know he can, that makes him and Jahmyr Gibbs so dangerous, because then both of them in 2 running back sets, you can't hone in on Jahmyr Gibbs as the running back of the 2. Like, you've got to put someone on him if they bring him up into the slot or something like that, and then you have to respect Kendrick Law with the football in his hands. Again, his yak ability is tremendous, his yards after contact, so you could give opposing defensive coordinators so many problems if you establish Kendrick Law as a legitimate running back. Because again, him and Gibbs, who knows what you're going to throw at him, you could have so much fun with those packages, as well as having all your mainstream receivers on the field as well. So, use what you've got at your disposal. As I say, Alabama and Kentucky did in limited portions, but it worked for them. So we'll see. But yeah, I would love for him to be able to get some looks at running back for sure. Dallas, he had 3. Yes, Goff did that. Was that 2 years ago or last year? I know he is prone to the bad games. He's certainly prone to the bad games, but more often than not, it's an exception to the rule. We don't moan about it too much, so I can deal with that. But yeah, the bad ones are bad. Canadian Manu was a bad reach. Hopefully Manu comes good this year. We'll see, but he's not in a position where we need him right away, so maybe that works for us. Rewatched the Bengals game from last season. Manu was better than people gave him credit for. He gave up 1 sack early to Hendrickson, yeah, and a lot of people have given up sacks to Hendrickson. There's something there. It's just, we need the development guys to start paying off now. Like, Martin didn't work. Varkey, we need to work this year. Manu, we could do with working. They're there to... And when you invest a few picks in them as well, you're sacrificing depth elsewhere. Obviously, a few picks here, a few picks there. So, you're kind of just hoping for improvement for them. And year 3 is the big year for them all. So it's a big year for Manu and Varkey this year. Year 3 is where you want to see the payoff. So hopefully for both of them, we can see some payoff this year, and then we show that they were worth the picks. Grandizer goes, and I don't know if you follow him. Jarrett Bailey posted his team record predictions and where they will seed in their divisions. He had the Lions winning the NFC North with a record of 12-5. I'd take that in a heartbeat. I'd take 12-5. I think we could potentially do better. I mean, the home slate minus the Germany game against the Patriots. I mean, I would at worst expect to go 6-2, and that's in a doomsday scenario. I think our home schedule is very favourable this year. You lose maybe 1 in the NFC North and one of the bigger games like Tampa or something like that, maybe. But you would hope for, I would say, at least 7 wins at home. Then you just need to win 5 of your 8 road games. Obviously, you've got Buffalo. You've got Carolina. You've got them early. If you can win one of those, most of your others are eminently winnable. Like Atlanta, you can go on the road and win there. Obviously, in the NFC North, you'll hope to pick up a few wins as well. So I feel like there'd be 2 defeats at home, 3 on the road, if you were going to go 12-5. But I think 12-5 is eminently manageable. I would take that right now. I don't really care about winning the NFC North. I care about getting to the playoffs. I care about winning a playoff game. Like, that's got to be the thing. Whatever the record is, you've got to have a 1 in the win column in the playoffs by the end of it. Winning 13 or 14 games this year and losing in the first round of the playoffs is just not acceptable. So, but I would agree. I think 12-5 is about where you'll be at. So I think that's good. I think that's good, spot on there from him, really. That's probably what I'd have as. I might stretch to 13-4, depending on how I feel at the end of the off-season, depending on how some teams do. Obviously, the Germany game, we don't know what the impact of that'll be. The bye is early as well. Like, if you can get into that last month when you hit the 3 NFC North road trips with 2 losses, you're in a very good situation there. If you hit it with 3 or 4, then you might be in a little bit of bother. But I think the schedule shakes out well enough for us. Win one of Carolina or Buffalo before the bye. You'd be 4-1 before the bye. Then you hit a massive run of home games which are winnable. And then you sort of build from there. And then hopefully you're still healthy come the end of the year and, you can pull off a few NFC North road wins again. Watch the game at 0.8 speed on YouTube. I'll have a look at him again. I like to give everyone a fair shot, so over the off-season I will give Manu another look. Because occasionally we do miss something. We are fallible. We are human, so I don't know. I may have missed something with him, but we'll see. Stephen goes, there was a video on K-Law from the guys at Saturday morning inspection that shows he is more reliable and a better slot option than 3 guys taken ahead of him, including the guy in the second round. Yeah, I think Kendrick Law's problem is he was on a very bad football team. Like, obviously in his days at Alabama, he was in the depth chart, so he didn't really get to show himself there. But at Kentucky, it is hard to state how bad that team has been. Until Cutter Bowley came into that team last year, they were sunk, and they just didn't look good whatsoever. And, you know, the offensive line was bad as well. What was it, about 520 of his 580 yards came after contact, or after the catch? One or the other. But the vast majority of his work was done after he got the ball in his hands. He had to create a lot of his own opportunities, and obviously at the NFL level that helps if you've got that playmaking ability. You can break tackles, you know, find the space, all that sort of stuff, work well in motion. He was certainly not given the best opportunity to succeed. Again, you look at the numbers offhand of it, they're not that great. Like, he's not put up massive receiver numbers in college, but it's explainable, and this year showed his ability. So I'm not surprised if he ends up being one of the better receivers, like a top 15 receiver from this class or something like that. I don't know how many we're taking in front of him, but if you would say he could potentially be like a top 10 receiver from this class, top 15, you could do that, and for a 6th round pick that would be good value. So, you know, there's a lot to like with him. You put him on this team where he's got a lot more help, I think he could low-key surprise a lot of people. Maybe sort of like a 300 to 500 yard season potentially, maybe a little bit from the running back position as well, like 500 all-purpose yards. That would be nice, and you get a little bit of both from him. I think that would be a great. I think that would be great for him. K-Law could be sneaky good and give the Lions a backup to Saint. I think he would. That's the thing he'll benefit from, is he's Kendrick Law. He's not Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Isaac Teslar. He will get a lot of one-on-one looks, and he will have a lot of mismatch opportunities to be able to create something. And the Lions love to do their passing behind the line of scrimmage. They love their screen passes, exactly the same, the right sort of plays that play into his wheelhouse. So I think you could see low-key, forget Teslar's breakout year. This could be a K-Law breakout year if you do it right. Obviously, a lot needs to go right, and it's blowing a lot of smoke maybe towards him. But I think as an under-the-radar player who's going to get no attention, who people won't focus on, you can exploit that and get a lot of good yardage out of him. Raw goes, you think Philly fans said Mailata was a reach when they took him and he didn't see a snap until his third season? I don't know what Philly fans said about Mailata, to be fair. I have no idea. That's going back a little while. I would assume probably there were comments in there and that, but I can't for sure say what they said about him. But obviously he worked. Every draft pick does get 3 years. Every draft pick gets 3, but this is year 3, so we need to see something this year. Hopefully we do. Grant says, Ant sometimes says mean, hurtful, condescending remarks. He says them to me all the time. That, he's playing. Hang on, Grandizer, I've got it here somewhere. It's in my pocket. Just bear with me one moment. Where is it? We've got it. Here we go. This is the world's smallest violin I've got for you, Grandizer, because I am such a mean bully towards the Miami Dolphins. I'm playing you a tune. I don't know whether you like Bach or Debussy or someone like that, but I am playing you a tune there as an apology for bullying you and the Dolphins all the time. I just say what I think, and I'm sometimes unfiltered. It is what it is. All I know is at the core is I love this team and I get very emotional, and I sometimes... Every podcaster does it. I am not alone in this. I'm just more emotional than most, but I also say lots of nice things, Grandizer, so I will not have that slander. I have been very complimentary about your draft, for the most part, so I will not take that. I don't say mean things. K-Law's floor is a standout gunner and return specialist. His ceiling is sky high, agreed. I don't think he's really reached his full return potential, but I'm certain they'll give him a go at it at camp because those jobs are open. Terry goes, Rakestraw should be cut if he doesn't have a good camp. TA needs to have a great camp too, or he will lose his starter spot. Keith A and the other veterans we should sign should push him. Rakestraw, I agree with. He's got to have a healthy camp. If he has a healthy camp, you keep him. If he gets injured again and it misses any amount of time, then I think you've really got to consider either putting him on pup and ruling him out for the year, or just letting go, because again, he's not played football in nearly 3 years now. It's a long time to come back from. So I'm with you. He's first and foremost, he's got to have a healthy camp. I think if he has a healthy camp, even if he doesn't play that well, you keep him, because you just hope that eventually the rust wears off and you get what you expected with him. It's all about the health rather than the style of play with him. Terrian too, I think, as long as he has an injury-free camp, I think he will be fine. Terrian's just been blighted by injuries. Like, just when he was getting good last year, he hurt his shoulder. They rushed him back from the shoulder injury too early because they needed him, and he got hurt again. You've just got to hope it's health for the both of them. Like, both have healthy camps, both make the roster in their respective roles, but outside of that, you do have to start asking questions, and certainly Keith Abney is going to be asking questions, which is quite nice because that segues into another one of the questions I got, which was from Pinky or Bobber. He said, since there seems to be quite a deep competition at slot, who do you think will win that starting role? Because obviously a lot of people think Abney at his size is going to go to slot. Keith Abney has never, ever played in the slot. Ever. I don't like taking players because of their size and putting them in a position they have never played before. Keith Abney should get a look on the outside first and foremost. I don't think he should be in the slot stakes. Like, Keith Abney is a very physical press coverage corner. He loves to get in the grill of opposing wide receivers and make life hell for them, not sit back in the slot trying to do the work in there. So I wouldn't have Keith Abney in that conversation to start with. In short, Roger McCreary's the one who needs to win that slot corner role. Like, McCreary's the one who's done it before. He does have the versatility to work around, but I think he works best in the slot. Out of everybody we've got, McCreary, you've got to give it to, and like, we need a bit of stability there. Like, Amik could be good, but Amik wasn't consistent, and he eventually ended up being bad because we moved him out of position and we kind of ruined his confidence. But we need some stability at slot corner, and I would say McCreary's gonna have first shot at it. I think McCreary should get it. Outside of that, I mean, you could throw. I know Isian's moved around. I know people say he's a safety in that, but Isian's played in the slot as well. I would consider giving him a look. Rakestraw might be the one to kick inside. Again, Rakestraw did. I know Rakestraw's played a lot on the outside, but he has played a little bit more slot corner, and maybe you put Rakestraw into that conversation to help take him on the roster if you're a bit short at the slot position. But I think McCreary's the outstanding candidate for me. I would have him by far and away the one who should be the starting role there and should win it if he has a good camp. So I would expect McCreary to get it, and then maybe, Rakestraw or Isian to be the depth there. I think we got Amaris Brown as well, who is a slot corner, but obviously UDFA. Going to be tough for him to make the roster. I think outside of that, you'll move people here, there, and everywhere, but I would give Abney a shot on the outside first. I don't want to just put him into slot just because of his size. It's, give him a chance to show you he can work at outside corner first before you start making the move inside. Otherwise, if you're going to move Keith Abney into slot, you should have picked a slot receiver where you picked him in the draft. A slot corner. I know he's good value for money there, but if you wanted a slot, you should have picked a specialist one, not a guy who's never played there before. That's my logical thinking behind it. We need depth at outside corner. Keith Abney should be depth there. So, yeah. Roger McCreary should be the starting slot. Endo Storio. And then Rakestraw behind him. Robis goes, I'm not sold on Pacheco at running back 2. We paid him $1 million respectively compared to most running backs. I'm with you. I'm not sold on him. It's not that I don't believe in him. It's just we need another good option there. At the minute, I don't believe Varkey can just suddenly take running back 2 level snaps if and when he's needed. I would love another veteran option in there just in case. I would have loved another UDFA in there, but I guess we had to make sacrifices somewhere. But I'm with you. I'm not entirely sold on him. Not because of him. It's just the injuries obviously had an effect. I would feel better if we had a little bit more depth to cover any potential issues with him injury-wise. So, yeah, I'm with you. We need a little bit more help there. I'm not entirely sold on him as running back 2 just yet. Stephen goes, I am hyped about K-Law. When I watch him run, I see some Monty and Saint in his game. Yeah, there's a lot to love about him. A lot. I must admit, the more I've watched of him, the more I've been impressed with him. And again, someone floated the idea of using him as a running back, as a dual threat. It was in this chat. It was in one of these Q&As. It's where I got the idea from. Again, I keep forgetting who posted the idea, and I appreciate whoever did. But I saw it once and thought about it, and I fell in love with the prospect. So yeah, I really just hope they do something good with him. He could be so exciting. On Pacheco, his biggest issue is a lack of vision. I believe that's what Chiefs fans have said about him as well, but the one thing I do know about Pacheco is, it's hard to bring him down. All those times we were rooting against the Chiefs, three-peat, and, going for the three-peat and all that, it just felt like Pacheco was... There were so many times he got hit early and then just churned out that annoying 4 or 5 yards that put the Chiefs in really favourable situations to convert. And it just felt like he did it all the time, so I can see why they got his style liking, because that's like Monty. Monty gets those annoying yards for opposition defenses that just keep putting them on the back foot in shorter situations where they're a bit more vulnerable. I get that vibe with Pacheco, but you're right. If the vision was there, he'd never have hit free agency at all. But I love the yards after contact stuff with him. He's just a little mini bowling ball, and I think he'd fit here quite well. I think at Buffalo is very winnable. You're right. I like that we've got him early because new coach. I know it's same coaching tree, it's Brady and whatnot, but they're going to need time to adjust. And I don't think it's the best roster in the world. They're paying a lot of money to a select few players. Obviously, you've got the new stadium effect to go against, but I think you're going to pick them early. I think it's the perfect opportunity to go there and upset them. I would at least like to be very competitive against them. I'd be worried if we weren't. I mean, we've been competitive against them both times under Dan Campbell's era with much worse teams than what we've got now. We've got the settled coaching staff. We've got the settled team. They don't. So I'm with you. I think it's very winnable for us, and we've got a nice tune-up game against the Saints to start, providing we take that one well. We should win that, and we should have our tails between our legs, and, no fear. We got nothing to lose this year. Go out and cause a shock. We want to be the party poopers. That's what we thrive as. Raw Biz goes, people forget how good Demo was and how demoralised he was. But it gets lost with the flashes that Gibbs shows. Ravens last year, Gibbs 25 touches for 60, Demo 12 for 140. Oh yeah, I agree with you entirely. I think people are understating how much Demo is a loss to us. He's 1,000-yard a season guy from scrimmage, consistently. Those guys are rare. His durability is one of his big character traits. He'd be fit for nearly every game, and he would give you a good workload every game. He was effectively a running back 1 working as running back 2 for us. I'm with you. I think people don't realise how big a loss he is for this team. People thinking Pacheco is a replacement for him are just, it's a downgrade. However which way you look at it, Isaiah Pacheco is a downgrade on David Montgomery. You are going to really struggle to get an improvement on David Montgomery this offseason unless you spent money, which is the whole reason he left. And I'm with you, I don't like the way he was utilised last year to give Gibbs more touches. It worked perfectly beforehand. We worked with them hand in hand, in harmony, both of them getting a fair share of the workload. I don't get why things changed. Gibbs' numbers went down last year. And for all the touchdowns he got, they came in droves. He'd get 3 touchdowns in one game, then none in the next, then 3 touchdowns, then no touchdowns. I think, Morton became so obsessed with him because he wanted to win and show that his offense was good and that he could be Ben Johnson, that they shifted it entirely towards the playmaker and took away what was best about the partnership. I agree with you. I hated the way Demo was used last year. And I think a lot of Lions fans do agree, actually. But as for his loss for this team, it's massive, and he's not been replaced. And if Gibbs gets hurt, we're going to see that loss really quickly. Yeah, Demo did get done dirty by this team, but I think it was Bob Morton's fault. I know it was John, but I call him Bob Morton. Yeah, he just didn't see how it worked. Do you think we're being in a running back when cuts happen? Yeah, I think that's what they might wait for. I think we'll look for a tight end when cuts happen. I think we'll look for both, but I still certainly think you should be in the market for a running back for sure. Never rest on your laurels. Always look to get better. That sort of thing. I think you could do better than Pacheco and Varkey, potentially at their respective positions. It depends who gets cut, but I would expect they'll be in the market for one, Terry, for sure. Raw goes, Law looks more like Demo than Pacheco. Law's got that twitchy power. Yeah, he does. He's got that little bit of oomph about him, and he's got the yards after contact stuff that Demo likes as well. So certainly from that point, he does. He's not lazy. He's a bit more finesse than bowling ball. Maybe he can become something like that, but I agree. He's more in Demo style for sure. That's maybe why I like the idea of him doing what he does so much. The Law hype is real. Hey, the hype is always real for one day 3 guy year. Last year it was Frazier. This year it's Law. And this is a train I'm aboard this year. Stephen goes, it may take him a bit of time to develop. Saint was pretty polished and it took him until the back half of the season to emerge. With Kaylor, I think he may have a breakout next year, but be a dynamic threat. Yeah, I agree. Again, I've blown all this smoke about him. I don't expect him to have a 1,000-yard year. I'd expect him to pick up a good few hundred yards, maybe 300-400. That'd be a really nice year for him. And just establish the threat more than anything. Get him running the ball a couple of times. Get him catching the ball out the backfield a couple of times. Establish the threat. We don't use 2 running backs enough. And unfortunately, I think the problem with doing it with Monty and Gibbs is that Monty was a serviceable pass catcher, but not a dangerous one. Like, he could move the sticks when he needed to, but he didn't really have that pizzazz about his route running. So when you've got 2 running backs in the backfield, you can kind of figure out who was going to do what with them two. With Gibbs and Law, if you establish him as a dual threat, defenses don't know what they're going to do. And it makes it that much harder to guard against. And it opens up opportunities for Kendrick Law when all eyes are on Jahmyr Gibbs. So, you know, that's what I like so much potentially about that partnership. But you've got to establish the threat. Kind of the same with Goff and his legs. Goff can be a better runner than we give him credit for. If he established that threat, he'd be a lot more dangerous to defenses because they won't turn their back to him. And, you know, if they're looking at where he is and not where the guys he's marking are, Goff's going to drop a dime over them. So, you know, at least establish the threat. And do it right. It's kind of the problem we had with J-Mo for years. We never established J-Mo as a 3-level guy. He was just a down-the-field guy, so teams never felt threatened by him. The more we've got the ball into J-Mo's hands, the more opposition defenses are like, you know, we've got to take him seriously at all 3 levels now, and it just opens the game up for everybody. So establish the threat. If you don't establish the threat, people aren't going to take you seriously. That is the thing with Law. But yeah, I agree. It's not going to be this year. It's not going to be a massive breakout this year, but hopefully it's more than we're thinking, because you can take advantage of that. Ken Stouder goes, Miami sucks, Grandizer. His words, not mine. And just a few years ago, you could have said that about Detroit. Yeah, we did suck, and we said we sucked. Those first couple of years, we were very adamant that we sucked, but we got out the bad times. Hopefully Miami do the same. Roll goes, I think our free agency group was our real draft class. The draftees were just competition to push guys to be better. Just my point of view on this year's draft. The class wasn't that good. I mean, potentially, I see your point. You're right in that I don't think a lot might challenge for starting spots eventually, but I think that's relative to how good the team is. In years 1 and 2 and 3, the team was bad, so all the draft picks made the roster and the spot day 1 because there was no depth. You have more depth on the team now, so you don't need to expose guys as early. Like Blake Miller, if you feel he's not ready, just play Larry Borum. If you feel Derek Moore's not ready, just play DJ Wanham. If you feel Keith Abney's not ready, play Rakestraw if he's healthy. You know, it's kind of a case of, you know, if you don't think Gil Howard's there, play not Miles Frazier, the other one. Why have I forgotten his name? The old LSU DT. Anywho, you know what my point is. I think with most of these draft picks, if they don't hit the ground running, there's someone there to pick up the slack for them. And, you know, there's not going to be so many who might make a massive impact on year one. Potentially they could. Like, Abney really could. Gil Howard could as a pass rushing defensive tackle. Kendrick Law could, but you're right, it's more theory than, you know, expectation right now with a lot of these guys. I think this draft class will take a bit of time to grow on us in terms of its development with the first team, but it could be a really good one when all is said and done. But I think we're going to have to wait a little longer than some other classes to see the immediate effects of it, but balance of having a better team. So I think we've still got a good team overall. But yeah. I guess, yeah, they didn't pick a lot of guys I like this year. They've got Hunter and that, but yeah, my initial thought was disappointment. They didn't get more of the guys I like, so maybe I could get in on that as well. Stephen goes, Rock Sin talked Rakestraw up. He said that he will be a stud at outside corner. I've no doubt he could. But again, we've got to look at this just from a realistic point of view. The last time he played serious, like, consecutive games, regular football was at the end of his college career, which was in December of 2023. Obviously 24 and 25 he's been injured, so you are approaching, it's December 2023 he last played regular football, 3 years removed, and the NFL is tough on people's bodies. We've seen it, they break down. And players who are injury prone tend to pick up knocks easier because they're just not used to playing full contact football for so long. It's very rare you see players who go 3 years, or the best part of 3 years, without playing basically any football at all, who then suddenly get good. You know, even like seasoned pros who've like had 4 or 5 good years in the league and then miss a lot of time through injury, say Emmanuel Mosley. You just can't get healthy again, and the longer you don't play, the more injuries that happen, the more your body doesn't respond to it. I'm just taking history into account here. History says that guys who are out as long as him very rarely come back and play well. So I've no doubt if the players in there that we drafted, potentially he could be good, but it's just whether after all this time, whether he can be good or not. And I can't exactly say he thought he was going to set the world on fire. I didn't even think he was the best corner from his own team, in that draft. I was more of an Abrams Drains fan than I was Rakestraw, so I can't even say I had big expectations right off the bat. So he's got to be healthy. He's in last chance saloon when it comes to his health. But I've no doubt he can do it. But yeah, the stats say otherwise. Abney is like K-Law, but better. The more that time goes on, the more I love every pick that Holmes and Campbell made. Abney's exactly what the team needs. A physical press corner. And again, I know I've battered this point to death. It's the off-season. We say the same talking points over and over again. But wide receivers have had too much of an easy time against Detroit the last few years. They're not pressed at the line of scrimmage. They're not made to work for it. They just have their release, find space, and wreak havoc against us. We need someone who you dread playing against them. You don't want to go to work that day because you know you're going to end up with bumps and bruises and aches and pains because a guy's going to get in your grill every play. Abney'll do that. Like, he'll trade shots with anybody and, disrupt the timing on the line, get them off balance, just make them feel like they don't want to play against him. None of our other corners have that. Like, at all. And it feels like we go up against a lot of these physical DBs on other teams and we don't have them ourselves. So Abney is the physicality we so desperately miss, which is why I think Abney will grow on people very quickly, and which is why I think he should play on the outside. If there's some guys who are bigger, more athletic there, put him up on the line against them. that athleticism and that size doesn't count when you've got a guy on your pads causing you a lot of pain. I think that's what Abney can do. So, yeah, I love the Abney one. It fits us to a T. Obviously, that Sun Devils team, they punish you and they hit hard. Ryan watches them every week. I've watched plenty of them over the years. When their DBs hit you, you stay down. And again, Detroit needs more of that from its DB, so we will love him for sure. And did you see the question on your post about who will play slot corner for the Lions? Oh, I answered that one. McCreary. Does it appear the Lions have a lot of depth there? It depends. Technically, no. Because not so many people have actually played there. Like, guys who are put there on the depth chart, like Rakestraw and Abney, have never really played slot before. They theoretically could play it, but they haven't. So in terms of experience depth at slot, no, there's not a lot there. But in terms of guys who could play it and play it to a good level, then there is some depth at the position, but there aren't that many specialist slots in there. Hence why I think McCreary should get it, because he's done it the most. And hopefully he will be the best slot corner in camp. If he's not, then maybe we should be a little bit worried. Because, it's been a big bane of contention for us. We just haven't nailed the slot corner role in years. And we've tried everything to sort it. We paid out a record-setting deal to Justin Coleman. We have bought in Amik Robertson. We've tried everything to sort slot corner out, and it's just not worked. So, hopefully McCreary's the dart that lands there this time. Or as I say, Isian might do it as well. Isian plays all over that Tampa Bay defense, including slot. So, again, sort of established good level starters, not so much depth. Players who could play there to a good level, decent depth. That's the answer to that one. And McCreary should be starter again. Stephen goes, I think Abney's completion percentage against in obvious passing downs was something like high 30s or low 40s. Yeah, it was low. Again, that Arizona State defense has been very good for the most part, and they love defending against the run. I mean, you think in training every week, Arizona State pump out running backs into the NFL every single season without fail. And, you've got to defend the run there as a point of life. So, that's why you're so tough and physical there. You have to be, because you're getting hit by the likes of Cam Scatterboo in every single practice. But his completion percentage against this year was 44%. 72 targets and just 32 receptions given up. But over his career, it's only 51, which, considering he's only been a starter for 2 years, like, this was technically his sophomore year as a starter, so he still has a ton of growth as well. To be just a shade over 50% with just 2 years as a starter is good cooking, as they say. So, yeah, Abney's still got a lot of room to grow. And he's been, he was tremendous this year. 2 interceptions, 9 pass breakups. NFL passer rating against him was 46. So basically the same as his receiving percentage. It's damn good. And his run defense has always been really good as well. So, he's had a great year. He's been severely underrated. Ro goes, McCreary is our best slot corner aside from Branch. I do forget Branch in these conversations, but I do prefer Branch at safety. But you're right. I shouldn't have forgotten about Brian Branch. A Branch can play anywhere, but I just prefer him at safety. But you're right, he can play slot if need be. Yep, Keith Abney allowed a 44% completion percentage against him when targeted at Arizona State. He did, and it's a good caliber of quarterback in the Big 12. Grandizer goes, I'm a bit behind on the stream, internet issues, hopefully none on my side. Just refresh it, Grandizer, and you'll catch up. But I'm behind on the comments because I always go through them one by one. So if I answer questions people have already answered, do not feel slighted. I just haven't seen them yet. And I will get to them. Would be nice if Rakestraw became a dependable member of the team. Absolutely. Like I said, if Rakestraw gets good and healthy, if Manu gets good and healthy and plays well, if, Levi gets good and healthy, like, if some of these injury-prone players get healthy, And if, like, the third-year guys like Manu and Varkey take their steps forward, then all of a sudden you sort a lot of your depth issues out in one fell swoop. So the potential is there to fill a lot of the depth chart up. We're just relying on health and development. And Rakestraw is certainly part of that. Believe me, I don't want him to be cut. I've been very vocal in that we've got to start taking a hard line with injuries. We give injured players too long. And we have done for some time now. We've just got to learn to know when to cut the umbilical cord with them, as they say. And Rakestraw's kind of really on that periphery now, where one more big injury and you've just got to... It's Deshaun Hand and Julian Aquara and guys like that all over again. It just never ends out working for the team. McCreary's not a boundary corner at all. Not at all. He has played there. Like, they have moved him around, but for the most part... he's not. He was in college, but I mean, for the most part in the NFL, they have used him in the slot and sort of more on the side because his NFL career didn't start off very well at all. So they moved him inside, and that's kind of where it all came from. But I think at college he did play on the outside a lot, so he does have it in there. If he wishes to, but hang on, just so I know I'm backing up my sources right. Where are we? Back in his Auburn days, yeah, he was a boundary corner at Auburn, like almost exclusively. He played no times in the slot whatsoever, but in the NFL it's changed. Because again, 5'11", 190, so those who might say he's a little bit undersized and didn't kind of work for him really. So he's played double the amount of snaps in the slot as he has as outside here, and he's played in the box a fair bit as well, so you can bring him up a little if you need be. But yeah, his outside boundary corner days are a bit behind him, but he can do it if need be. But for the most part, yeah, he is a slot now. Stephen goes, really, K-Law could be a backup for Gibbs, Saint and Dorch, if nothing else. Absolutely. Though they should probably focus him on one role at first. That's why I think it will take time to develop. You're right. Get his receiving ability up and give him a few reps with the running backs for sure. Maybe get him on return units. But you're right. You've got to take it slowly with him. But if the opportunity arises... Create some packages for him. Get a little funky. If you're ahead in some games, you can get him out there for sure. Venter goes 11-6 Bears, 11-6 Lions, 10-7 Packers, 8-9 Vikings. That would be a stressful year. I don't know if I'd be able to deal with a stressful year of having 3 NFC North teams getting double-digit wins again, but it could be very close. The Bears will still be up there. The Packers... I think the Packers are due for a big regression this year. I think the Packers draft was terrible. I think their free agency was terrible. I mean, you look at what that starting offensive line is, even when healthy, and you're like, yeesh, like Jordan Love could be in some trouble next year. So I think the Packers are going to regress. I think they could be a 6 or 7 win team potentially. But I agree with the Bears will probably still be double digits. The Vikings, I think there's going to be a 2-tier system. The Lions and the Bears will be top. The Vikings and the Packers will be below. That's where I'm at with it. But it could potentially be close. I am a bit nervous about overpaying Gibbs 100%. Like I said, if it's near $25 million a year, I wouldn't do it. It's a bit too much. We need to get it a little bit lower. Or you've got to get less guaranteed. You've got to try less guaranteed and more incentives. And do it that way. That way you can sleep a little bit earlier about it. Josh Allen really took over that game when McNeil got hurt in the fourth quarter and we had 18 defensive players on IR. Yeah, we nearly beat Buffalo twice with a really bad team, so there is no reason we can't go there and kick their ass this year. Absolutely not. This is by far the best team we've had under this regime against Buffalo, and probably Buffalo's worst team maybe since we started playing them. So the stars are aligning for sure. If the Lions make Gibbs the highest paid running back in history, it could really go wrong for us. It could, or Gibbs could break every record known to man apart from Barry's. but odds are that it doesn't happen that way. So again, I think you can find a happy medium, maybe between paying him a lot of money on paper and the guaranteed money. So hopefully there's a happy medium to be had with him. I'm really hoping that Varkey emerges this year and helps to bring Gibbs down to earth a bit. I think there is a lot of hype there. He has a lot of games where he reduces little to nothing. Varkey gets... And again, I guess I'm saying this when I'm hyping up Kendrick Law a lot, but Varkey's not done that much apart from on special teams. Like, I don't get where people have got this... And again, it's been entirely hypocritical because K-Law's never played a snap in the NFL, but I just look at how much Varkey has played on the first team, and it's like, I'm not really trusting him to suddenly be a big part of this rotation this year, just like magic. You would like to have seen a few more snaps from him with the first teamers in the first couple of years, but so certainly someone needs to emerge because we can't give it to Gibbs all the time. Maybe Pacheco can be that guy if he stays healthy, but you're right, we do need to reduce Gibbs' workload. It's like we need to reduce Hutch's workload. Aiden Hutchinson cannot carry on playing the amount of snaps he does every game. It's not feasible. Like, we can't, the kid's got to have some rest. Eventually he will break down as he gets older. He plays way too much, so you're right. Some of our star playmakers need time off. Like, Amon-Ra can have a bit of time, not time off, but J-Mo's in there. You know, he's got guys who can take the slack from him. Like, if you don't get a 100-yard game from Amon-Ra, you're not going to lose. But we usually need good games from Gibbs and Hutch to win. And you've got to release that pressure on them just a little bit. So, I agree. Varkey coming good helps this team. I just don't know whether he does or not. Grandizer goes, Ant, you did have your short list of running backs on day 3 that the Lions could have either drafted or UDFA. I think the guy from Toledo, Chip Trainum, yeah, the Lions met him a lot. I don't know where he ended up. I think Seth McGowan was on that list, but Indy got him, and Indy love him by all accounts. I did have a list of guys we could get there, but we didn't, and, you know, it is what it is. Some of these guys may get cut, and we may still get them before the season starts, so I've not given up hope just yet. We should have taken a running back instead of Law. Maybe not Law. What's the pick I would have used? I would have given the Tyre West pickup for a running back. I think K-Law could be really good. I think Tyre West's going to be a nothing burger for the team. I don't really think you're going to get anything from there, so I think he's the one. Like, Skylar Gill Howard, I've got a lot of belief in. K-Law, I've got a lot of belief in. Tyre West, I don't. So, I think he'd be the one I'd have given up a running back pick for. But I'm with you, I would have given up one of them for a running back. I think we just needed to get there. Sorry, Antony, not trying to take over your chat, sir. I'm very opinionated about my favourite sport. Chat as much as you want. I do not care. You see Grandizers in here, like, you know, a lot of people love to chat in here. I love as much chat as possible, so you chat away, sir. You do not worry about being too opinionated. I need to be brought down from earth to time, so please keep putting your opinions in there, because I'm not right a lot, so I need to be called out on it. So don't worry about taking over the chat at all. I think this year's draft class is underrated in a similar but lesser degree like the 23 class was. It will be a lot more popular every year. Was the 23 class unpopular? I feel outside of, like, Detroit land, our 23 class was quite likeable. Like, Branch certainly was. Gibbs, well, I guess I love Gibbs. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just... I can't remember, but I remember liking the 23 class quite a lot offhand, but there were more guys I knew about who we drafted. I do think this year's class will take time to be appreciated, but I think some of its best values were in day 3, and those guys always take time to develop. So I'm with you. I think in 3 years we'll look back on this class and we'll be like, yeah, that was a really good class. If anything, it should provide us some solid depth all over the team. Like if Gil Howard hits, you know, if K-Law hits, if Abney hits, like we're going to have some really important depth players going forward. So I think it is technically underrated now, and will like it a lot more in future. But I could be wrong with the 23 class, but I was more hyped about that. So, but maybe we weren't positional value and all. Terry goes, I was not high on the Moore and linebacker picks. Yeah, I wasn't high on the Moore pick either, I'm not going to lie. Rolder was the one that really annoyed me. Well, I've not really talked about Rolder, but I'm just not that big a fan, but I think it's because I'm such a big Eric Hunter fan. I think Eric Hunter should have been the pick. Rolder could end up being good, but just, yeah. I'm always more critical on Michigan prospects because Lions fans hype up Michigan prospects more than anybody else, and you've got to provide a counterbalance to them. So I've always traditionally been a lot harsher on Michigan guys, just to keep the status quo going. But Rolder was the one I didn't like. Moore I can bear with more because his pass rush win rate is exceptional, and I've been crying out for someone like that. So I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't like it. He can win at the line of scrimmage. He can get more of those negative plays which we need. So Moore I can deal with. Rolder I cannot. But again, hopefully proven wrong. I thought Abney was a zone corner. Arizona State's defense is kind of predicated on zone defense, but they're quite versatile in what they do, and I don't know if the Lions are going to shift to that a little bit more. But you're right, that is what Arizona State's defense is predicated on. Yeah, but you watch them play. They're very well coached. The technique's really good with them, and again, the physicality is something that we have really we've really missed. But yeah, they run a 4-2-5 at Arizona State, and maybe that's what we're gonna do this year with our linebacking situation. So again, it's physical line play that you get from these guys, which is what he is. They don't really blitz that much, but we don't really do that with our corners. So, yeah, it's a 4-2-5 Arizona State run, and I would figure that is what the Lions are going to do this year. Maybe not right away, but when Branch and Kirby are both healthy, like you're going to have Branch, you're going to have Kirby, you're going to have Terry on, DJ Reed, and you're probably going to throw McCreary in there, show 5-man looks. That's where Abney will come in as well, so yeah, Abney may not have played in exactly what, but I think in terms of being a 5-man DB, he will be. TA presses effectively, physical man cornerback. I hate people are saying he's a better safety. Are they? I must admit, I've not really come across TA to safety. I think he's better than people give him credit for. I certainly thought before his injury last year he was figuring it out. People don't like grabby corners because of the penalties and that, but it's kind of what these physical guys do. Abney will probably be a target for penalties early because he's very grabby, he's very physical. He's going to have to adapt to NFL rules. But it's part and parcel with them. They figure their way out eventually. Like Terrian's figuring his way out with the penalties. Abney will as well. But yeah, certainly Terrian moving to safety is nonsensical. I think people look at box stats and sizes and stuff and go, oh yeah, he could work there. It's like people look at Abney and go, slot corner. They don't even consider him to be a boundary corner. It's like, it's where he's played his entire career. Don't let a couple of numbers say otherwise. So it's maybe what Terrion is going for there. Is Abney more an interceptor or a ball puncher? I guess it's a little bit of both. His interception numbers are not high. But, the pass breakups are, again, what they do. I would have to ask Ryan this, because Ryan watches them more on a weekly basis, but I do feel like they are more pass break-uppers than takeawayers. I don't know what their takeover rate is, but I don't think it's big. They're more on their physical stuff and the pass breakups and bits like that. But he could be both, I reckon. So, we'll see. But yeah, I think more would be ball puncher than interceptor for Abney. Like, he'll hit you hard. I think there was quite a few forced fumbles from him in college as well, if I remember the numbers right. I think he had like 5 or something altogether. Again, could be wrong. Had 4 in his career. And he got 6 interceptions. But again, he's only been playing 2 years, so But I'll tell you what, the missed tackle rate this year was 4%. For a corner, that's insanely good, a 4% missed tackle rate. His tackling is clean, considering he's had 2 years as a starter. It was only 7% in his first year, so I think he's graded out overall at it's like just over 6% his missed tackle rate is. You'll not find many corners with lesser than that for the amount of tackles he had. I mean, he had 50, 90, 110 tackles in that time. 110 tackles with a just over 4% missed tackle rate is pretty damn good. So, technically, flawless. Grandizer goes, question, and some teams draft hang on one player no matter how many picks they had. Did that apply to the Lions this year? If so, who is that one player who has to play lights out? Ooh. Who has to play really well this year for it to be a lights out draft? It's a good question. I mean, we've got 9 picks. So it kind of feels tough that getting like 1 pick out of 9 would make it a successful draft, but that is a really good question. I think if anyone has to hit, my heart would say Derek Moore, because we need a bona fide edge 2 on this team and we need to relieve the pressure on Hutch. If Derek Moore turns into an all-pro and plays absolutely lights out, I think no matter, like, Blake Miller could be a bust. You've got Larry Boreham. Abney might not make it, but he's a 5th round pick. Rolder might not make it, but he's a day 3 pick. I think if Moore hits, I think if the edge rusher hits, and he hits very well, that would constitute a decent draft. I just feel like it has to be the edge rusher more than a tackle. Because who would you prefer as a starter? Larry Boreham as tackle or DJ Wonnum as an edge? I would go towards Larry Boreham, honestly. So, yeah. But I don't think it does apply to the Lions this year, Grandizer. I think a lot of this year is depth players. Like we need to land on some day 3 depth players. The trouble with our cap is we're paying our day 1 and day 2 picks, and we're paying them massive contracts. The trouble is we're not finding those like smaller contract players, like the day 3 guys who earn themselves like a 3-4 million a year payday, something a little less. All our paydays are like 20 million a year. We really need to hit on some day 3 picks so that we can balance out the roster. Just continually hitting on 1st and 2nd round picks is fine, but it costs and it causes problems down the way. So maybe as an outside to that, Moore would be the one, but I think overall it's not a one-man draft class because it's too big and we've got too many issues that need sorting with this draft class. But it's a good question. I would like Derek Moore to play lights out more than anyone because it just solves so many issues for us. Bears, Packers, Vikings have one thing in common. They all lost key pieces on defense and didn't replace them well. Vikings pass rush, Packers pass rush run stuffers, Bears experienced DBs. Yep, you're right. I think they've all lost more than we have. So, sure. And plus, I think we've got the most to gain from getting healthy, as you mentioned. Like, if all 4 teams get healthy, we gain more talent than anybody else. So we naturally get better that way. McCreary is good inside a 15 to 20 yard box. Yeah, I think the long speed, like you're right, it got exposed early in the NFL, so they moved him quick, and it kind of worked. Lions 13-4 to 15-2. Bears 8-9 to 9-8. Packers 7-10. Vikings 6-11. I would agree with that for the most part. I think the Bears might win 10 or 11 as opposed to 9, but you're right with the Packers and the Vikings. I think they're going to be well below the 2 of us this year. If Murray gives the Vikings good quarterback play, that could be a major threat. It could. All I'll say is we are undefeated against Kyler Murray, and we've played him 3 times. He's the one mobile quarterback in the NFL who we've always had his number, and he's always played terribly against us. So I don't know what it is. We are allergic to playing against dual threat quarterbacks unless they're called Kyler Murray, in which case we're the best defense in the NFL. So I don't fancy Minnesota's chances against us if he plays well, but maybe they'll win a few more games if they do, but I'm still not super high on that team. And again, they've got new GM in this year, new direction. You don't know what's happening with JJ, uncertain quarterback situation. I think it will get worse before it gets better for them, for sure. Special teams question. Why can't the Lions block kicks? That is a very good question. I don't have an answer to you, quite frankly. Maybe we need better special teamers who do. That sounds like a stupid answer because it's obviously, but maybe we need some more field blocking specialists. Like Hunter's done it. Eric Hunter's blocked a couple of kicks in his collegiate career, but I don't know. Maybe we need a bit more speed off the edge or something. I don't know. I will probably have to ask. That'd be a fun one to ask Ash, because Ash does his special. He's a special teams guru. Maybe he can understand why we're not good at blocking kicks. Maybe it's some tape review he can do. But you are right, we don't seem to block them very often. Like the Bears are amazing at it, or they have been amazing at it. Actually, when was the last time we did block a kick? Maybe that's a question for the audience there. Think of the last time the Lions blocked a kick, because I'm struggling. Have we ever done it? I don't feel like we've done it in the last couple of years. I could be wrong, but I will leave that one open to the chat to answer. Someone may already have. I might not have scrolled through enough, but yeah, I don't know. I can't answer you that one. That's a very specific question. Hopefully we'll get Dave Phipp on the show or something and we can ask him. DJ Moore's ability to freestyle routes is going to be exciting, especially with a QB like Josh Allen. Yeah, they'll be a good partnership. Like, you know, he'll be like his Diggs. Like Diggs did well with Allen. DJ Moore will do the same. So you've got to be careful with it. Hopefully they've not got their connection ready by week 2 and they wait a little bit longer. Stephen goes, the 23 class was the one that everyone said was the first 4 players should have been picked in reverse order due to positional value. You're actually probably right about that. I remember I was infatuated with Branch. I would have picked Branch in the first to be damn sure. Laporta I wasn't. Gibbs I was. I would probably have done it if I'd have done them in order of what I liked them at the time. It would have been Branch, Gibbs, and then Campbell, then Laporta probably. So you're right, it was kind of mixed up. But I've had an infatuation with Brian Branch for years. So you're right, we could have switched it around, but in the end, all 4 have been pretty good, all told. So yeah, you're probably right about that. Damone Clark is our linebacker 2 and AA replacement. Clark a cover specialist. He just needs to stay healthy. His career has been plagued by injuries, but Eric Hunter can challenge for that coverage linebacker spot. Maybe not this year, but I do genuinely believe Eric Hunter can do it, and he'll prove people that he can. So by the end of the season, I would pencil in Eric Hunter as one of our coverage linebackers, our main ones. I believe in him that much, but I could be wrong. DA looked great in camp last year. He moved different. Yeah, he's just learning. He's been thrown in the deep end, and again, corners like him have to learn the hard way. Like, you're grabby. You get a reputation. You've got to kind of refine yourself a bit. But I thought he was bang on course before the injury. He looked like he was developing at the rate he should have been. So hopefully he can continue that. And hopefully DJ Reed can play a little better opposite him to, you know, help him. Because DJ Reed didn't exactly play well either. Abney is a physical pass breakup guy. He is indeed. He plays the man, not the ball. Yep, he likes to hurt the player. And sometimes it's good to have those guys. Cade Mays has to hit. You're right, I actually forgot. I mean, I guess Mays is the free agent who needs to hit more than anybody. We need stability at the centre position. So yeah, out of all the free agents, Cade Mays is probably the one that needs to hit the most. And then I would say McCreary after that. Like, if McCreary and Mays hit, that solves 2 major problems on our team. So they'd be the one. They'd be the ones for sure. So yeah, I agree. Cade Mays does have to hit, but he's developing as well. So again, it's 1 year as a starting centre, so it might take a bit of time, but I think eventually he should get there. Hopefully, you know, Ratledge is going into year 2. You know, hopefully the left guard situation is settled. Hopefully give him a good base to work with. 6 tight ends went in round 2. In 2023, we wouldn't have gotten everyone we got if they weren't taken when we took them. Branch, I don't know why fell. The tight end run was crazy this year. There are going to be so many busts at the tight end position this year from this draft. Teams seem to panic. Like, they really panicked, and they just went after them crazily. Like, you know, Laporta would have been... Like, if Laporta was in this tight end draft class, he'd have been way higher than Kenyon Sadiq. Like, he'd have been by far and away the best tight end in the class. Like, teams really panicked over tight ends this year, and I don't get it. It was not a good class, and 6 going on day 2 was just insane. Gavis Concon goes, go Titans. Nicholas Singleton, running back, squatted more than Saquon Barkley. Hope he has a great season. I like Nick Singleton. I've done since he was a 5-star prospect going to Penn State. I hope he does well. And he's a good returner as well. I think Nick Singleton will do good work as a returner for them sooner rather than later, and then he'll get his look in the backfield. I wish him well as well. I hope he does well. I have a soft spot for them. Ratledge issues were Glasgow issues. I mean, for me, Ratledge didn't have any issues. He had that one bad game against Philadelphia, and that was it. And let's face it, he's not the only guard who struggled against Philly's D-line last year. Like, the Philly game was his welcome to the NFL moment. I thought outside of that, Ratledge had a great year. I thought he was tremendous. You know, he just had that one game where as they say, he got get, as they say. Like, you know, every rookie has their got and get moment where some veteran player makes them look silly. Outside of that, Ratledge was tremendous. He was everything we wanted and more. So I've got high hopes for Ratledge this year, that he's just going to be knocking on the All-Pro door, potentially, if the right guard situation next to him is settled. He could be that good. So, you know, Ratledge issues were Glasgow issues, but I don't think Ratledge had that many issues. He was great. Oh my god, look at the time. We've been going 2 hours already. Usually... Oh, I love these. I love that so many of you were in here with me on a Friday night to chat about all things Lions and college ball and all that good sort of stuff. I thought these were going to be dead, honestly, at the start of this year, and I'd have to stop doing them. But the fact that you've all been in here, I appreciate. I think I asked all the questions in the chat. Asked all the pre-questions. No, Pinky or Bobber did ask, worst case scenario, if Kirby and Branch aren't available to play much this season, who do you think will be the starting safeties? That is a very interesting one. Let's say Branch and Joseph are not healthy for week 1. Who plays at safety to start? It is a tough one. I would have Thomas Harper as a starter. I would maybe play Harper as the deeper free safety, and I would put him with him. I want to say it's either Maddox or Isian. Maddox is more acquainted with our system, but he wasn't as good last year as people made him out to be. I think maybe Isian might be that more physical box safety presence type to go with him. So I would say Thomas Harper and Christian Isian would be my 2 starters at safety if Branch and Kirby weren't available to go from the off. I think Thomas Harper's earned his place in this team as a starter anyhow. Like, you can play 3 safety looks when both those 2 are back, and Thomas Harper will be your 3rd safety. So, yeah, I would have Harper and Isian, and then I'd have Maddox as the backup or the 3rd safety, and then Clark, Jackson, and Strickland. But yeah, I do hope Thomas Harper gets rewarded with a lot of snaps this year. That's the least that he deserves from this team. So that's both your questions answered, Pinky or Bobbler. And as always, I will put a post up before these streams earlier in the week, and if you want me to pre-answer any questions or big questions that will require me to pre-answer them, then please put them in there and I'll get them ready for the show. As always, again, I appreciate everyone who asked questions in there. I appreciate everyone who's come in the chat to ask me questions as well. I will do one more round before I get out of here, but first I'll just go through all the upcoming shows and that so I can get out of here when I do. Obviously, this coming Monday, in 3 days' time, we've got the second part of our look at the Detroit Lions schedule for 2026. We're doing our second lot of 7 unique opponents, looking at the teams, their draft classes, their roster, their depth charts, all that sort of stuff, and giving our initial assessments on them. The College Football Podcast will be back in the next couple of weeks. Nearly got my CUSA preview ready, so we'll start with the conference previews, and we're doing some FCS work as well, so do join those when they are back. And of course, I will be back next week. I'm not sure when, because I work nights now, so I will have to schedule around it, but I will be back with the Q&A. It might just be on a different day this time, but we will see. And as I mentioned, we've got 2 interviews coming up. A week on Monday, we've got Joel Walkowski, author, coming on to talk about his new book about the Detroit Lions, its history, and his own personal history with the team, and how the culture of losing created a winning man. It's going to be good. We've had a chat with him already. He is tremendous. We're going to have some good fun with that. And as I mentioned, we've potentially landed a really big coup. One Matthew Turner has potentially got us the Lions' all-time leading sackmaster, Robert Pourchaire, coming on to chat with us Brits about his time in Detroit and about the team as it is now. But that is, we've got to wait for full confirmation on that, but that will be coming as well. And we've got a bunch of other guests we're lining up, so we have tons of stuff coming up on the show for all tastes, be it college ball or Detroit Lions. You know we've got you covered, and as always, if there's any work you want us to do in the off season whilst we're waiting for football to come back, we will happily do it. Like me, I will go and take a look at some of Gio Manu's tape again and redo that, and maybe we'll get Ash to look at why the field goal coverage has been so bad. So I believe that is everything in terms of that. Raw goes, we don't need an edge 2 AKM, prove that our DNs are clean-up artists. Our defense is built to collapse from the inside out. It is. I just feel like we could always make a better, we need a better opportunity. We need more tackles for loss. We need more negative plays. We are built to collapse, but we're not built to win from the line of scrimmage. And that has resulted in, we were 30th in tackles for loss last year. We need more negative plays against the run. It's all right collapsing a pocket, but we need to make plays in the backfield to put teams on the back foot. And hopefully that's what Derek Moore will do for us this year. His pass rush win rate is exceptional, and his run blocking is really good as well. His run defense, sorry. The negative plays speak for themselves. So hopefully, from that point of view, we need that. Stephen goes, it's hard for me to be consistent, but I love chatting with you guys. Hey, we love having you in the building. Doesn't matter if you can make it once in a blue moon or every week. We just appreciate it whenever you can make your time here. Again, we're a British Lions podcast, so the fact that any of you take time out your day to come and chat with us is honestly just really appreciated. And we love you all for it. This was a great show. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Robiz. Absolutely appreciate your contribution. And again, my apologies about the Manu stuff. Hopefully we can get on a fresh slate with that. Jackson and Harper, potentially Dan Jackson. We'll have to see how he does in camp. It's an interesting safety one there. Stephen goes, I think it will be a rotation of Clark, Maddox, Harper and Izzy. You're probably right. I don't think there'll be 2 starters so much as different packages with different players. So you're probably nailed on that it's more of a rotation one. I'm just thinking more of, if I had to start 2 guys, who would I do? But there will be a lot of debate on that, I know for sure. They're all good in different packages, absolutely. Branch should return week 6. I hope so. The sooner the better. Hopefully reactivate him during that bye week and get him practicing again before we have that run of home games. We've got a favourable home game schedule. Maybe as long as we've got him back for the Germany trip, that would be tremendous, because I would love to see him play in person. We're going to be in Germany, so hopefully if any of you guys are coming across, let us know. We would love to meet you all. Do you think Dan Jackson can help? I mean, he could, again, he's a late round pick and he's missed an entire year because of injury. Just the odds go up, like the odds of making the roster and having an impact where he's picked in the draft are already slim as it is. To miss out on a full year and an off season because of injury, it just decreases those odds even further. So I'm just kind of playing the numbers with him, that the odds of him having a big impact this year are not that high. Whether he could or not, I don't know. I mean, like, certainly he could. There's spots up for grabs in that safety room, so if he has a good camp and plays well, then sure, but I'm just playing the numbers on this one. I think the numbers are against him, so, you know, like the rise of Thomas Harper and guys like that have made it difficult, because Harper's going to be now priority backup, so you're looking at those real big depth positions. So Dan Jackson's going to have to stand out massively on special teams to make the roster. Like, that's going to be the thing, because Isian's got experience in the NFL, Maddox has experience in the NFL. You know, Thomas Harper now has a season of starting pretty much under his belt in the NFL, so Jackson's working from a big disadvantage experience-wise. So it's going to have to be the special teams that stands out there for him. Rob Bisco, sorry I didn't ask questions, was more comments. Don't worry. Again, the forum is here for you to chat. If you all just want to chat with one another and not ask me questions, then that's what it's here for. So, you know, again, we just appreciate we just appreciate the interaction. So don't worry if it's comments, questions, whatever. Put them in. We don't mind. No worries, Pinky or Bobber. I appreciate you asking the questions to start with. Hopefully they have been answered sufficiently. Who wins defensive end second string spot, Hassanin or Moore? Again, you've got to say it's Moore. Hassanin, again, love the story in that, but again, he's a day 3 pick who's missed his first year because of injury. It's just made those odds harder for him. But I think, obviously, he's got the IPP designation, which protects him a bit more in training camp. You know, he doesn't count against the roster, so that'll help his odds in the short form. But I think ideally, we want Derek Moore to win it because, I know Hassanin's a second-year player, but he's a 6th rounder who didn't play all last year. So ideally, we want the second rounder to hit before. But hopefully, Hassanin makes the roster. I think he's still got a lot of juice about him. I would expect him to sneak his way on there. I don't know whether we can protect him on the practice squad as an IPP player. Again, I'll have to check. If you can, then that's probably what they'll do, so they can carry some more veterans on the roster. But I would say Moore wins that one to start. Healthy McNeil to start this year. Tyleek in his second year will be a big upgrade. He will. I'm looking forward to Tyleek this year. He developed perfectly last year. He wasn't thrust into a starting role. He had less snaps but made more use of them. He worked his way into the rotation, and genuinely, by the end of the season, he looked much better than DJ Reader did, and that's who he was brought in to replace. So I've high hopes for Tyleek this year as well. It's just, can you make that move from rotational snaps to starter snaps? Because he's going to be a starter this year. He wasn't a starter last year. That's the only question, but I think he'll do it. He showed more than enough last year, Tyleek did, so I'm looking forward to seeing Tyleek this year. I think he's going to be a big one for us. If Harper is playing as a starter, we are in trouble. I think that's a little unfair to Thomas Harper. I think it's a little bit unfair. I felt quite comfortable with Thomas Harper as a starter last year. I mean, you know, he had to play a lot of snaps for us when all was said and done. He played nearly 500 snaps, graded out at 78 overall. And I don't really remember any massive mistakes that he made. I want to say there was maybe one against the Chiefs. I think he got burnt by one at the Chiefs, but I think it was his first snaps with the team. As he went on throughout the year, he was really, really good. No, it was against the Giants. There was a bad play against the Giants, but outside of that, I thought he had a tremendous year. So if Harper's starting, I don't mind that. I think I think he's earned a starting spot. So yeah, I would be happy with Harper as a starter. I think we could do a lot worse for damn sure. I think he will be a steady presence while we wait for the starters to get back. Harper issue was chemistry and continuity. Yeah, he got jettisoned in there in that Kansas City game. And he'd just not played before that. He was a UDFA. I don't think the plan was for him to start that much. I don't think the plan was for him to play 500 snaps last year, but he forced himself into that role. It's kind of like what Jerry Jacobs did at the start of his career here. He forced himself into one of those starting roles with really good play. Now, unlike Jerry, he's got to continue the consistency, and this year teams will know about him more. He was probably a bit of an unknown factor last year. Teams have got a lot more tape to work on him now, but if he can continue with a second year consistency, I think he's going to be just fine for us, Harper is. Actually, if you want to move Branch up into the slot, if you're having problems there for a while and have Harper and Kirby played together, I'm not against that idea. So I think Harper certainly would be a good pick for us to start. Hassanin is protected, Antony. I know he's protected. I just don't know if the protection carries into the regular season. So he's alright for now, and I don't know if the protection carries to the practice squad again, because he's in his second year. Because he's been granted, I think, a special eligibility for this year with his IPP. So I could be, feel free to chime in on that. The protection lasts for camp as far as I know. I don't know how it lasts after the 53 is picked. Harper was a step behind at times, but again, he was a UDFA who played a little bit of football at the Vegas, so that would be that. I mean that KJ and Branch are no-go. Harper is solid, but Harper's not Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph. Not saying that, but he's a steady presence. Like, I'm happy with him back there, at least temporarily. If he does, he's on the practice squad, we're safe. Yeah, if Hassanin carries a IPP designation onto the practice squad, like, he's here. He's not going anywhere. Like, absolutely not going anywhere. I guess the question is if you have to include him on the 53 and he doesn't get protected by his IPP, then maybe that is the question there, so... Anywho, we will see. Right, we have done 2 hours 20 minutes today. It is 2:45 in the morning here. It is a late one, so I'm going to go chill out for 20 minutes and then hit the sack. Appreciate every single one of you who's been in here this evening. Attila, Mile Marker, Raw Biz, Terry, all you guys, I appreciate the hell out of you all joining me on your Friday evenings to come and chat Lions with us, and hopefully we will do the same again next week. I'm going to go get some rest. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Hopefully the weather's as good for you over there as it is here. It was 27 degrees today, which is Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's toasting over here at the minute. So the weather's fine. The beers have been had. We're having a good one. But all of you, enjoy yourself. Stephen, Marmarka, Robis, Terry, everybody. Have a great one. We'll see you on Monday. I am the Brit with Grit. This is One Pride, checking out One Pride Worldwide.